Hello and welcome back to another video on my channel. Today I am doing the first part of my September project life. So I am just cutting out a title for September. I've brush lettered it in the Tombow 158 and then I'm just going to use my Uniball white gel pen to go and add some little dashes to make the letters just feel a bit more interesting. I know that I put the highlights in all of the wrong places. I just kind of guess and just do whatever I fancy, to be honest, trying to keep them slightly different to the letters next to them, but going along all of the longer lines within the letters and around any like curved edges. So I'm using the Rosie Studio Collection Field Notes, which is from last year I think, and I absolutely love it, and I'm so sad that I've nearly used up, well, I actually by the end of September I used up all of the ephemera bits that I had for that. I'd used them a lot. I've used them in I went back and scrapped 2020 autumn with them, and also 2021 had a bit of them in, so I really have used up and spread those across quite a few years. I loved the leaves that were in the ephemera pack, but I didn't have any of those left, so it was kind of using up all the leftover bits. The card tag is from Simple Stories, and it is actually from their spring collection. I used the spring ones in my summer layout just because the colours worked so well, but the colour on the other side of this tag is a very mustardy kind of colour with a bit of pinks, and so it just worked so well for autumn. I'd never used those colours in the spring personally, but I thought it worked perfectly for this layout. So like I said in my other video, I think next time I make an order, I'm going to go through and just buy loads of the Simple Stories tags to cut out and just have that side. I know that you can make your own, and I have tried making my own, but I don't know why. I just feel like they're never quite as nice as the Simple Stories ones. So, and they're not that expensive. So I'm just going and adding some washi tape. So this is just from AliExpress. I've also seen this pack on Amazon before for a lot more money than what I paid for it in AliExpress. So just a warning, if you ever are buying anything on Amazon that's just kind of generic and you don't need it at that moment, it might be worth looking on AliExpress just to see if they've got it. You can do an image search, so you just screenshot the thing on Amazon and have a look on AliExpress, and it just kind of gives me an idea of how much I'm paying to get it the next day rather than wait for it to come. So I've stamped out those leaves from a it's the Paige Evans, I think it's the Bungalow collection, Bungalow Lane collection, but I end up saving those because I think that's starting to feel quite autumnal. So I mean, not that this doesn't feel autumnal, but I thought that I'd save that for my October layout. So I'm fiddling around with these mushrooms instead on the title card, and I actually changed it the way that they're spread out when I stick it down, and I really like how this card came out. I sometimes struggle with the monthly cards just because I have an idea and then it doesn't look as nice as I thought, but this I think works so well for a little title card. So I'm very happy with how this ends up looking. So I'm just going to go through and stick all of these down. So all of these photos are from when I went up north. I think I went up north twice, so they are kind of spread over 2 weekends, but they are all photos. And when I'm up north visiting my boyfriend who lived in Leeds, he's moving back down south, we'd go across to York and Harrogate quite a lot just because we went to uni in York, and York is like one of my favourite places in England, and we just kind of, I don't think I've ever actually spent that much time in Leeds city centre, because apart from shopping, it's kind of like shopping or drinking are the two activities I kind of associate with there. So we tend to go out to different areas, just kind of nicer places to just wander around. So that was really nice. So I thought it would be worthwhile putting little labels on and writing down the dates, and then I also end up adding the locations of where we went, just so that when I look back I can remember, because even looking at the top 2 photos I assumed that they were on the same day when we went to York, but the one on the left is actually like a week earlier. Kieran just wearing the same jumper and me wearing a similar coloured jumper. So I wanted to say, no, that photo is actually in Leeds and the other one's in York. They're next to each other and look very similar. So I think this is where I start adding the labels. I've gone round and added a few of those field notes bits around the page, making it look very cute. Obviously the papers, the mushroom paper and the tree paper are also from the Rosie Studio Field Notes collection, but then the rainbow card and the here and now card are actually from the Simple Stories, I think it was Hello Today collection, that was their kind of Project Life collection, not for 2022 but for 2021. I didn't actually like any of the ones for 2021, so I didn't get one, hence the made cards. But I have bought I can't remember which one I bought. There's one that they've released, but I bought it as a Christmas present. I did a big scrapbooking order from Craftlier, and that is my present from my parents. So I don't want to go back and kind of remind myself what I put in there, so it is a bit of a surprise when I open it. But I didn't buy, the thing that I struggle with these cards is that it was a cream based collection, which I don't particularly, I like white, but I feel like in autumn you can get away with putting cream based cards, so it is actually really useful to have those, and I've been adding those in, and I've definitely made the stack go down a bit. So I really love, when you have something that you think, oh, I don't know how I'm going to use these up, when you realise how you are and make a dent, it just feels better to then have them, even if they're still sat in your stash, at least you have some sort of idea of when and how you're going to use them. So I'm sure that I will be using those throughout all of the autumnal months, to try and get some of them used up. I also have some Studio Calico printable cards that are kind of autumnal, but for some reason in my head there's no rush to use those. I think because I only paid 79p for each of the collections, so it kind of doesn't feel like I've spent much money on them, so I don't feel the need to really use them up. So now I'm just going around and have stamped all of the dates, and I'm adding the locations like I said, and then I'd written on the backs of the cards where everything was, so that I didn't have to keep kind of leaning over to look and see what I am, like when and where. I thought it'd just be easier for the videos to have those on the back. I'd looked that up when I did my pause for my journaling. I've added this little bit of ribbon into the tag, which is just from Dunelm, I think, years ago. I got a sewing machine when I was younger, which I haven't actually tried to use on any paper, but it's a bit, I need to dig that out really. But I started making like drawstring bags, so we bought a lot of ribbon to be my like string. That was the one thing I know how to make on a sewing machine. So I'm just going around with these little location icons, wood chipboard, wooden embellishments, and I used them on my August Project Life when we went to London, so I thought that it was quite good to continue it on and kind of add even, the same sort of idea where you've got the location spread across the page and just kind of marking that these are all in different areas. Obviously 3 of those photos are all from the same dinner. We went out for a nice dinner, just kind of to I can't remember what we were celebrating, what we would used as an excuse, but it's a restaurant called Gusto, which we absolutely love. They've got one in Leeds city centre, and then we go to the one that's slightly further out, just because it's really close to where my boyfriend lived. So we absolutely love it there. Got my nice cocktail, and yeah, it was just a really nice dinner. So I start adding these chipboard gold hearts from Studio Calico, but then I kind of decide I couldn't get it to look quite right, and I then start looking at the Paige Evans Bungalow Lane sticker book, and that's all copper. and because the washi tape I'd added had copper in, I just decided that I'd save those hearts for something else, because I know that I will use them up. So while I'm doing a more coppery layout, I might as well lean into it and use all of the little embellishments. So I'm just going round and sticking down those wooden embellishments with my favourite glue pen that I got from Paper Maze. I think you can get them from everywhere, and I would highly recommend one if you don't have one. For sequiny bits and like scattery small bits, they are just perfect. Go round adding. You can do a little dot on the page and stick the thing on, or I like to scribble on the back of things and then put them down. It's just really good. So I'm just going to go through this sticker book and add a few of these little word phrases. I'm really struggling with these word phrases because there's so many like creative and handmade, and like I don't tend to, although that is kind of scrapbooking, none of my pictures are ever of scrapbooking. This is, I kind of feel like you see the scrapbooking, like I don't need to take another picture to show that that's what I was doing. So yeah, I'm struggling with those a bit. I end up putting them on, like we got some cakes and stuff, so that works quite well as, yes, this is a handmade thing we have. So that's on one of my future September layouts. I really like this page though. They are transparent, but they seem to work quite well because they're quite bright or dark colours. So just going around and adding the buttons, hearts and stars to the different cards. I'm really glad that I actually managed to get some washi tape onto this layout, because it just kind of feels like so good to use them. I bought a lot of my washi tapes for my journals, which I'm not really doing anymore, but I just feel like it's really nice to be able to add them to the scrapbooking layouts and feel like they're not just sat there gathering dust while I don't really have to journal. So this is the final look at this layout. If you like the video, please could you give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, as it means a lot to me. I will hopefully see you in my next video.